parents called me loser and didn't invite me to the Christmas. I said okay. When my gold sister asked me to pay for her studies, I shocked everyone with statement. I'm 32 years old, single, and if you ask my parents, a failure. Not because I've done anything particularly wrong, but because I haven't checked off the boxes they think are important. No wife, no kids, no real family of my own. Meanwhile, my younger sister, Amanda, can do no wrong. She's 26, bubbly, married, and in their eyes, the pinnacle of success. This year, they didn't even bother inviting me over for Christmas. My mother called a week before, not to wish me a happy holiday or to see how I was doing, but to give her reasons. Apparently, Amanda had let it slip that I said Christmas at their house was a waste of time because it's all about her. I never said that. Still, my parents didn't bother to check anything. They just went along with it. Mom told me, "We don't want negativity to ruin the day. Maybe it's best if you sit this one out." I don't know what stung more, her words or the fact that I wasn't even surprised. "Fine," I said. I wasn't going to grovel for an invitation. The next day, Amanda called me. I thought maybe she was calling to smooth things over or admit she'd lied. But no. She wanted money. "Listen," she said. "I need some help with tuition for my graduate program. Mom and Dad can't really afford much right now, and we all know you're doing well, so..." I couldn't believe the nerve. They had just banned me from Christmas, but now they had no problem with me being the family ATM? I didn't answer right away. Instead, I decided to handle this in a way that none of them would forget. I didn't give Amanda an answer right away. I told her I'd think about it, which seemed to satisfy her. She chirped a quick "thanks" before hanging up, probably already patting herself on the back for her manipulative skills. But I wasn't thinking about helping her. I was thinking about all the years this had been going on. Amanda had always been the golden child. Growing up, she got the praise, the attention, the best of everything. My parents never even tried to hide it. They were proud of her accomplishments, which usually boiled down to being charming and knowing how to wrap people around her finger. Meanwhile, I was the responsible one, the boring one who worked hard, got good grades, and stayed out of trouble. But responsibility didn't get you celebrated in our house. It got you used. When Amanda wanted a car in high school, my parents asked me to contribute from my savings from my part-time job. When she wanted to go to a fancy out-of-state college, they didn't hesitate to suggest that I delay my plans for graduate school to help them cover her expenses. And somehow, Amanda always managed to spin the narrative so that she was the victim who deserved everyone's help. The most frustrating part? She'd convinced my parents that I was selfish. Every time I tried to set boundaries or say no, it turned into a lecture about how families should support each other. Translation: I was supposed to support Amanda, no questions asked. And here she was, asking for thousands of dollars for her graduate school program while I wasn't even welcome at Christmas. I wasn't angry in that fiery, lose-your-temper kind of way. I was calm. Detached. And that's when I knew I'd had enough. This wasn't just about money or Christmas. It was about years of being taken advantage of, dismissed, and treated as if my value depended solely on what I could do for her. So I called my mother back. "Hey," I said, "can we have a family meeting? Me, you, Dad, Amanda, her husband. I think we need to clear the air." She hesitated, but finally agreed. Probably because she thought I'd come to grovel and apologize. I didn't correct her. Let her think what she wanted. I would speak my piece, and for once, they would listen. The family reunion was scheduled for the following Saturday at my parents' house. I didn't bother dressing up. Jeans, a hoodie, and an old pair of sneakers. It wasn't about making an impression. It was about finally saying what needed to be said. When I arrived, Amanda and her husband Greg were already there. Greg gave me one of those half smiles he always had, like he didn't really want to be involved in the drama, but couldn't quite avoid it. Amanda wasn't even trying to fake pleasantries. She scrolled through her phone, looking as disinterested as ever. Mom came hurrying out of the kitchen with a tray of coffee and cookies, doing her best to play the gracious host even though this was far from a social visit. Dad was planted in his recliner, watching me as if I were a stranger who'd dropped in uninvited. "So," Mom said after everyone was settled, "what did you want to talk about, honey?" Her tone was overly sweet, as if she thought a little sugarcoating would cover the fact that she'd kicked me out of the family reunion 2 weeks earlier. I didn't waste any time. "I want to talk about Christmas," I said, keeping my voice steady. "And the fact that I wasn't invited because Amanda told you something that wasn't true." Amanda jumped in immediately, her voice dripping with fake innocence. "I didn't lie. That's what you said? Or maybe you didn't mean it, but it sounded that way." I raised an eyebrow. "Really? Because I don't remember ever saying that Christmas was a waste of time. In fact, I don't remember talking about it at all. But somehow you managed to convince Mom and Dad otherwise." She shrugged and leaned back in her chair. "I was just being honest." I nodded slowly, biting back the anger rising in my chest. "Right. Just like you were being honest when you called me the day after to ask for money for your graduate program?" The room fell silent. Amanda's face froze, and for the first time, Greg looked genuinely uncomfortable. Mom jumped in, her voice desperate. "Wait a minute, this isn't about money, Dash. It's always about money." I cut her off. "That's why I'm here. Because I'm tired of being treated like the family ATM. You didn't invite me to Christmas, but you had no problem expecting me to finance Amanda's life again. Do you have any idea how fucked up that is?" Dad finally spoke, his voice gruff. "Watch your tone, son. We're a family. Families help each other." I laughed, really laughed. "Help each other? Is that what this is? Because from where I'm standing, it looks a lot like you all expect me to give and give while Amanda takes and takes. Tell me, when's the last time anyone here actually helped me?" No one answered. "Exactly," I said. "And that's why I'm done." After I finished, there was a long, awkward silence. Amanda was staring at her phone again, probably trying to pretend she wasn't the center of the conversation. Greg shifted uncomfortably in his seat, clearly wishing he'd stayed home. Mom looked like she was going to cry, and Dad just shook his head, his face red with frustration. It was Dad who finally broke the silence. "You've got some nerve," he said. "Talking to us like this after all we've done for you. We gave you life, put a roof over your head, fed you, clothed you, and this is how you repay us?" I couldn't help it. I laughed. Not a chuckle, but a full, genuine laugh, the kind that makes people more uncomfortable than screaming ever could. "You gave me life? So what, I'm supposed to be eternally grateful that you decided to have a child? That's your big point? That I owe you for existing?" I shook my head, still laughing. "You're not serious." Mom jumped in, her voice wavering. "We've sacrificed so much for you. We worked hard to give you a good life, and now you act like we're the bad guys?" "Sacrificed?" I said, raising an eyebrow. "Sacrificed what? All I ever heard growing up was how much harder things were because of me. How I was the trial run that made things easier for Amanda. You didn't sacrifice for me, you invested in me because you thought I'd pay you back with interest. And guess what? I have. Over and over again." Dad leaned forward and jabbed a finger in my direction. "You've always been ungrateful. You think money solves everything. Well, let me tell you something, family isn't about money. It's about loyalty. And right now you're failing at that." "Loyalty?" I repeated, my voice dripping with disbelief. "You mean like the loyalty you showed me when you believed Amanda's lie without even asking for my side? Or the loyalty you showed when you disinvited me for Christmas but expected me to fork over thousands of dollars the next day? That kind of loyalty?" Mom put her hand to her chest as if I'd just slapped her. "We didn't uninvite you. We just thought it would be better if you stayed home this year. You've been so negative lately." "I'm negative?" I interrupted. "I wonder why. Maybe it's because I've spent my entire adult life being treated like I don't matter unless I'm useful to you or Amanda. Maybe it's because no matter what I do, it's never enough. But you know what? You're right. This isn't about money. It's about respect. And I'm done pretending I don't notice how little of that you have for me. Amanda finally looked up from her phone, her face flushed. This is ridiculous. You're blowing this out of proportion. All I did was ask for a little help. You don't have to make a big dramatic thing out of it. I locked eyes with her, and for the first time she looked a little nervous. This isn't dramatic, I said. This is reality. And you're about to see how real it is. The room was so tense you could hear the low hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen. All eyes were on me, Mom's wide with disbelief, Dad's narrowed in anger, Amanda's darting around like she was trying to find an escape route. I leaned back in my chair and took a deep breath. All right. Since none of you seem to get it, let me make this as clear as I can. You want me to help pay for Amanda's graduate school? Fine. But here's my condition. Mom's face lit up with cautious hope. Oh, honey, that's all we're asking, Dash. I held up a hand to stop her. No. Let me finish. I'll pay for Amanda's schooling on one condition. After that, I'm out. Permanently. No more money. No more family reunions. No more Christmas invitations or lack thereof. I'm done. You want me to continue to be the family ATM? Then you can't keep pretending that I'm part of this family. The silence that followed was deafening. Amanda's jaw dropped. You're kidding. No, I said, my tone as calm as I could make it. This is the deal. You get what you want, and I finally get some peace. Mom's hands flew to her mouth, as if she were going to cry. How can you say that? We're your family. You don't mean that. I mean every word of it, I said. Because let's face it, I'm not part of this family. Not really. I'm just the guy you call when you need something. And I'm sick of it. So this is my line in the sand. Take it or leave it. Dad stood up, his face turning a dangerous shade of red. That's the most selfish thing I've ever heard. What kind of son leaves his family for money? The kind of son who's been emotionally abandoned for years. I shot back. You want to talk about selfish? How about Amanda lying to get me kicked out of Christmas, then calling the next day to ask for thousands of dollars? How about the two of you going along with it like it's normal? You don't get to lecture me about selfishness. Amanda finally found her voice. This is crazy. You're just trying to make everyone feel guilty because you don't want to help. Typical. I looked her dead in the eye. You're right. I don't want to help. Not anymore. And after today, I won't. So what's it going to be? Do you want the money, or do you want to keep pretending that this is a real family? For the first time in my life, they all seemed speechless. I wasn't sure if they were shocked by what I had said or by the fact that I had actually stood up to them. Either way, the ball was now in their court. The silence hung heavy in the air, the kind that makes you aware of every breath and shuffle. It was clear that they didn't know how to react. I'd always been the dependable one, the weakling, the one who could be counted on to keep the peace. Not this time. Finally, Amanda broke the silence, her voice shrill. You're really going to sit here and blackmail your own family? Over money? Do you hear yourself? This is disgusting. I couldn't help but smile. Blackmail? Funny, I thought blackmail was what you did when you lied to Mom and Dad about me so you could have Christmas all to yourself. Or is it just disgusting when someone doesn't play along with your little schemes? Greg, who had been silent the whole time, cleared his throat. Hey, maybe we should all just calm down. This is getting Dash. No, I cut him off. We're not calming down. Not this time. That is exactly the problem. Every time I try to set boundaries or challenge the way I'm being treated, someone tells me to calm down. That's how this family maintains the status quo, by sweeping everything under the rug and pretending it's okay. Mom was on the verge of tears. We never meant for you to feel this way. You're part of this family. You always have been. Really? I said. Because it doesn't feel that way. It feels like I'm only part of this family when you need something. The rest of the time, I'm an outsider. A failure. Isn't that what you called me, Mom? A failure because I don't have a wife and children? Because I don't live the life you think I should live? She started to protest, but I wasn't finished. Here's the thing, I've built a life that I'm proud of. I have a good job, a solid group of friends, and peace of mind. And I'm not going to let you or anyone take that away from me. So, like I said, this is your choice. You want me to pay for Amanda's college? Fine. But don't expect me to stick around after that. I'm done being used. Dad threw up his hands in exasperation. This is ridiculous. Families have disagreements, but they don't just walk away. You're being dramatic. No, I said firmly. What's dramatic is pretending that everything is fine when it's not. What's dramatic is expecting me to keep bending over backwards while Amanda and the rest of you take me for granted. This isn't about money. It's about respect. And since I clearly don't have any here, I'm taking myself out of the equation. Amanda, who had been quietly seething, finally snapped. You're unbelievable. You think you're some kind of victim? Grow up. Life isn't fair. You think I haven't made sacrifices? You think I haven't struggled? I stared at her for a long time. Struggled? You have 2 parents who worship the ground you walk on, a husband who supports you no matter what, and you still expect me to clean up your messes. If that's struggling, I'd like to know what you call my life. She opened her mouth to reply, but no words came out. Exactly, I said, standing up. I've said my piece. Let me know what you decide. Just remember this is the last favor you'll ever ask of me. And with that, I walked out. I didn't hear from them for a few days after the meeting. I figured they needed time to stew, argue, and figure out their next move. In the meantime, I went about my life as usual, trying not to dwell on it. I knew what I was offering wasn't ideal for anyone, but it was the clean break I needed. Sure enough, Mom called me a week later. Her voice was hesitant, almost meek. We've talked about it, she said. And if this is really what you want, we'll take you up on your offer. I let out a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. Part of me had expected more resistance, but I guess even they knew they'd pushed me too far. All right, I said. I'll wire the money directly to Amanda's school account. But after that, don't call me about anything. I mean it. Mom started to cry, mumbling something about how sad it was to see our family falling apart. But I didn't let it get to me. I wasn't the one tearing us apart, they were. I just finally decided to stop trying to hold the pieces together. I kept my word. I paid the tuition in full, sent Amanda an email with the receipt, and that was it. No dramatic goodbyes, no long explanations. Just a clean break. At first, it felt strange not to hear from them. For years, my phone had been a constant source of stress, text after text, call after call, all with some new request or demand. Now it was quiet. Peaceful. Amanda tried to reach me once, a few months later. She sent me a long email about how sorry she was for the way things had gone, and how much she appreciated what I'd done for her. She said she hoped we could put this behind us someday. I didn't respond. It wasn't about holding a grudge. It was about protecting myself. I'd spent too much time being her doormat, and I didn't want to risk falling back into old patterns. Life without her was easier. I had more energy for the things that mattered to me, my career, my hobbies, my friends. I didn't realize how much of my mental space they had taken up until they were gone. Do I miss them? Sometimes. But not in the way you'd think. I miss the idea of having a family that really cared about me. But I've come to accept that the family I was born into is not capable of giving that to me. And that's okay. For the first time in my life, I'm not living under someone else's expectations. I'm not the family ATM. I'm just me. And honestly, it feels better than I ever thought it would.